The Son of Man chose her, that unpopular rejected girl. He wasn't worried. The Son of Man chose her, that unpopular rejected girl. He wasn't worried about her CV, that she was a multiple divorcee. This was not just another date. This was the day she got saved. He was not just a potential, but he was the actual Messiah, Christ, telling her about her life. As he continued to speak, tears ran down her cheeks. There by the well of Jacob, she laughed to a water pot. Faster than those tears, she ran to tell her peers, not only them and men, but who would listen. This woman was an outcast. She could not interact, yet the outcast woman he wasn't worried about her CV, that she was a multiple divorcee. This was not just another date. This was the day she got saved. He was not just a potential, but he was the actual Messiah, Christ, telling her about her life.
Good evening, everyone. As promised, we indicated that we were going to have a session with the young people, and now they are here, and then we are going to have a discussion with them. But before we do that, just a second, we just want to replay this poem. I think we just had a technical glitch, but we will replay it.
The Son of Man chose her, that unpopular rejected girl. He wasn't worried about her CV, that she was a multiple divorcee. This was not just another date. This was the day she got saved. He was not just a potential, but he was the actual Messiah, Christ, telling her about her life. As he continued to speak, tears ran down her cheeks. There by the well of Jacob, she laughed to her what? Faster than those tears, and tell her peers, not only them and men, but all who listen. This woman was cast. She could not interact, yet this outcast woman brings news to Samaritans. He who I talk of now talks to the town. The Son of Man chose her, that unpopular rejected girl. about her CV, that she was a multiple divorcee. This was not just another date. This was the day she got saved. It's not just a potential, but he was the actual Messiah, Christ, telling her about her life. As he continued to speak, tears ran down her cheeks. There by the well of Jacob, she left her water pot. Faster than those tears, she ran to tell her peers, not only them and men, but all who would listen. This woman was an outcast, couldn't interact, yet customer news citizens. She was the talk of the town, now talk to the town. The son
All right, I'm told there was a bit of a sound. So this evening we invited the young people to give them an opportunity so that we hear their experiences. A lot of times we speak over them, but tonight we just want to tap into their experiences. Hence we arranged for this platform. So I think it's going to be a great evening. I've got Sister Sharon Kumomutsi from Botswana. I've got Sister Marinki Tupi from Wheatbank/Limpopo. I've got Sister Michelle/Joburg and Wheatbank. So we are going to have a great evening. But before we do that, let's just read the word. The Bible says in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12, it reads in this manner, "Let no man despise you for your youth, but set the believers in example in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity." So that is what Paul was speaking to Timothy to encourage him in his youth. Let's just pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we appreciate you for your grace and mercy and for the time that you have granted to us for this session to spend it with the young people and do some reflections, and so that there could be cross-learnings among them as they encourage one another in the faith. We want to commit them to you. In the name of Jesus Christ, we thank you. Amen.
the Son of Man chose her.
So, as indicated, let me bring them up here. Shalom, Sister Sharon.
Shalom, Pastor.
It's good to speak to you this evening. And how's Botswana this evening?
Botswana is all is going well right now. The Lord has been blessing us.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. I think we lost the Sister Marinki. Let me see what we can do here. We're having connection issues. Just a sec so that she comes back. You'll bear with us as young people. Let's be patient with them, and so that we have a great evening. I'm just gonna wait for her to come in, and then we will carry on. We just lost the connection with one, but we are going to get her back. The main thing is we just want to hear of their experiences on campus, their experiences in terms of how they were able to overcome ungodly influence, especially from friends. How do they choose friends and other things? So, just a sec, we just want to get Sister Marinki back so that we just reflect how is it going this evening. Sister Marinki, just change your setup. I think the camera just it's upside down so that we start. All right. You'll bear with the names there because now Sister Michelle they have swapped around, but we will fix that. Now, Sister Michelle, how's Joburg this evening?
Shalom, Pastor and Saints. Joburg is all right. Joburg is all right. So everything is in order.
All right. And Sister Marinki, how is Limpopo today?
A bit hot, very fun.
Is it okay? Now, before we start, I just want to juice something here, and then we will start quickly.
So it's all right.
Oh, all right. Let's check. I want to leave. All right, Sister Sharon, can you just tell us about something about yourself? Your name,
Thank you,
what have you studied, and so forth.
Thank you, Pastor. I am Sister Sharon Kumumote, the daughter of Pastor Samuel Kumumote, based in Gaborone, Botswana. I'm 23 years old and I studied entrepreneurship and business leadership, and I'm currently working.
Okay, working as what?
An office admin.
Oh, awesome. And Sister Marinki?
Shalom, Pastor. My name is Marin Kititi. I'm currently based in Witbank, but home is in Popo. I'm 23 years old also. I studied IT and software development. And I'm currently doing my internship.
You are currently doing your internship?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And Sister Michelle?
Shalom, Saints. My name is Michelle Mukwena. I am originally from Witbank, but currently in Johannesburg. I studied logistics management, and I'm currently employed at the Community Schemes Ombud Service as a supply chain administrator.
Okay, good stuff, good stuff. Now, quick one, Sister Sharon. And when did you get baptized, Sister Sharon? At what age?
12 years old. It was on the 26th of December, 2011.
Awesome, awesome. And Sister Maringi?
I was 20 years old.
Oh, all right. And Sister Michelle?
I got baptized on the 22nd of July in 2013.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Now, okay, let's start. Sister Sharon, why is the message of the hour special to you?
It's special because it holds substance. There's nothing that compares to it. You know, when I compare the lives of, people I know who are not in the message compared to us, we see that we are able to overcome things, and we are enlightened by what the prophet has taught us. And
Mm, mm.
yeah.
You can carry on. I'm still listening.
Okay, and this is the messenger that was prophesied in the Bible by the prophets, as the end time messenger.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right. And Sister Marinki, what makes it special to be in the message from your world?
It makes it special because there's a lot of things that we would have found ourselves in, but just hearing the truth itself, it kept us far away from things that we're not even meant to be. But
it kept us away
it
from.
kept us far from things that
Oh, okay.
things that would have harmed us most.
Oh, I hear
And
you.
by grace, we heard them.
Awesome. And Sister Michelle, what makes it special to be in the message from your perspective?
From my perspective, I think what makes the message so important is because I know the other side. I've been there, I was not born in the message. So I think having known the outside and what the message has done for me currently, because when you compare the two lives, I could have been so much worse off had it not been for the message. It kept me, it groomed me, it made me the person I am today. So I don't think there's any other thing that could have helped me like the message did. I've been outside prior to us coming to the message, grounded me. So I don't think there's any other thing that could have done that for me, but just the message of the hour.
Okay.
The grace of God.
Wonderful. Now, what I want to know from you, three ladies, there is a perception, and this is what people often say, but we want to hear from you. Some people take it as if you are being in the message by force. It is not your choice. If I use the English word, you are coerced, forced to be in the message. My question this evening to you, are you in the message because of a personal choice? Is it parental choice? Is it circumstantial choice? Is it personal? Why are you in the message? Sister Sharon?
It's a personal decision, even my choice to get baptized and stay in the message throughout all these years, throughout my teenage years, even these past few years, sometimes see my age mates straying away, and even older people sometimes who I used to look up to, but I still decided to stay because I know the message is true, no matter what fanaticism rises or anything else that may try to
Okay.
discourage me. Something just keeps holding me.
If I follow up, tell me, when people that you look up to, when they left the message, how did that affect your personal choice? Did it test you to question yourself that is it my choice to remain and not to follow them and not to be influenced by them? How did it affect you, especially people that you look up to?
Definitely discouraged me a bit, but it just helped me, to not base my faith on a particular individual, but on Christ,
Okay, okay. And Sister Marinki, was it your personal choice? Was it tested?
Yes, that's my choice because at first, when I was still in university, my sister used to go to church as well as my mother, but then I observed at first, and it was a bit awkward as like,
Maybe
no, man. But then when you
just,
hear,
just to adjust your mic so that you become audible. I can hear you, but just adjust your mic a bit so that we can hear you. Yes, let's try.
oh, okay, am I audible now?
You're audible.
Oh, okay. I was saying that at first, it was my mom and my sister when I observed firstly, but then I was a bit skeptical,
Yeah.
saying that, okay, I see the way that people in the message live, but then there was just something saying, what, the way you're living, and when you hear, you can hear that this is the actual truth. So from different perspectives, I was like, what, let me sit down and actually think this one through. But then thinking did not help me much. But then as you go to church and you listen, you can hear that this is the actual truth. And no matter how much I try to fight it, it is the truth. So I was like, it's a personal choice that from now on, even though you can tell that from your life things were not according to your choice, because you hear people, then you make choices according to what you hear, but then just sitting down and evaluating and thinking it through, saying that this is the actual truth and this is what I believe from now.
All right. And Sister Michelle, in your world, was it a personal choice? And is it still a personal choice over a period of time when how her experiences of life, how have they affected your personal choice?
It is a personal choice from my side. Yes, we came together back to the message as a family. And at first, it was just, just being in church. It was just hearing the pastor preach. It was just a word. But at some point, it got to a point where I got to understand that this was, yes, it might be that we go to church as a family, but at some point I needed to do something about it. It was not my mom is going to be there for me or who, no, it was not that. But I came to a point where I understood that it was me and God. I had to make the decision to say, no, you are grown. You can now take the right decision for you. And I felt there was no better decision than accepting the message because I felt like it was the truth. Not I felt, I know it's the truth. And it's the only thing that can preserve a young person, even our elders. But as a young person, going through the stages of life, a lot could have happened. A lot could have gone astray. I could have taken all the wrong routes. But then the message kept me. So I felt like there's nothing else that I could turn to. The only thing I can hold on is to God's unchanging hand, and He kept me and preserved my life. Because when I watched my friends and the wrong decisions that they made, it's not that I was more intelligent than them. Many are more intelligent than me and are more brighter than me. But what kept me was the message because I knew there were lives that I was influencing with the life that I'm now living. So it was for me, I can't let those people that look up to me, because there are people that I also look up to in the message to say, if sisters such and such are able to withhold such a standard, and there are people looking up to me, then I cannot drop that bar. That was just a personal preference and opinion that I took, that if this is the life you're going to live in their life, is looking up to you. So you can't now drop the bar. I wanted that for myself, and I believe that kept me, because even now, when I walk in the streets, I'm very conscious of what people think and what people say. I don't want to do things that now I'm compromising myself as an individual. I want them, when they look at me, to still say that irrespective of the young people going around doing whatever they're doing, they are still young people that follow Christ, and that they still hold to God's unchanging. They're still honest in their doing. So for me, it was a personal thing to say, if God has to use someone, then use me. I'll avail myself to be used as a young person. They should use an example to say there are still young people that follow this route. So for me, it's a personal preference.
All right. And now, Sister Sharon, a lot of people, a lot of people have got this perception that the message discourages young sisters from getting educated. And some, obviously, when they left the message, they say sisters in the message are not educated because education is being bashed. And I mean, I for one, I was a young person in the message, but my perception of education vis-a-vis the message was that when Brother Branham said education is of the devil, I think he was referring to when education tries to explain God away from the people. He wasn't bashing education when you get it to make a living. So my question to you is, why is there this perception or this misinterpretation that when you are a sister in the message, you cannot get educated? How did you navigate around that perception? Have you come across it? And if you have come across it, how did you navigate around it?
Yes, I have come across it. Sometimes people say things like, if you're educated as a sister, you won't get married. If you buy a car, if you're successful, you won't get married. But, I don't believe that. And I don't want to let such conspiracy theories, discourage me, because we are the light of the world. We have to excel in all things that we do. So we shouldn't just follow those just because people say such things. But personally, no one has personally attacked me, trying to tell me to stop going to school or anything like that. But I just sometimes hear those things.
And then how did you deal with them?
When it comes to furthering my studies, because I already have a degree, sometimes when it comes to furthering my studies, I hear people saying that get married first because brothers, you intimidate brothers if you already have a master's degree and things like that. But I'm just trusting in the Lord. I don't want to lean on any humanistic understanding or any analysis.
Okay. You are raising something very interesting. And you keep on saying, I was afraid to, a lot of people say if you get education, you become successful, you are not going to get married. And I think maybe it's something that we need to talk about. Are brothers in the message intimidated by a sister who is focused and successful? Sister Michelle?
From my point of view, I do think so at times, to some extent, that I feel brothers sometimes do let down in that regard, and they would feel intimidated by a sister that went to school. I feel like we all have opportunities. We all are presented with a choice, to say you can further your study. I don't think they should use that as a way of saying, no, you're not going to get married to sister because she's educated. You have the opportunity as well to go to school and study. I feel sometimes, yes, they do let down in that. I don't know, is it laziness or what? But then I feel you can't use that as something to measure to say, no, I can't marry this sister because she's educated. I mean, you have the opportunity as well to go to school and and educate yourself. So I feel we shouldn't use that in some way to measure anything. The brothers should just stand up and go to school. In the same sense, if you're a sister and you want to further your studies, I have nothing against that. And I do believe if you are a sister, you want to further your studies, go ahead. If you want to get your PhD, go ahead. But I feel the brothers in their space, they should do the same. Otherwise, if they don't feel that the sister is good enough to marry because she's educated, then it's fine. You can go ahead and take the other sisters that maybe he feels shouldn't go to school and feel the same way. But my point of view is that as a sister, if you do want to educate yourself, go ahead and do so. The brothers as well, if they want to, they can go that route. But I don't think that should discourage any young sister that wants to go to school and further her studies. I don't think so. If the Lord has placed the husband there for you to marry, then surely that will happen. I don't think education should be a challenge for anyone. If you want to pursue your dreams and your career, then
Okay, awesome. Now, tell me, Sister Marinki, how has the message influenced you to become focused, particularly on your professional or academic/professional life?
I'd say quite a lot because since I've been in the message, I've always been encouraged to continue my studies. Even furthering myself where I say, okay, I'm not gonna go any further than this. But those brothers and sisters in church, they always say, continue, go further, see how far you can go. So I never really heard most of anybody in the church saying that it's not good for you to study on. But I've always loved the fact that they see where we are standing and how much hard work we put into the work. And they don't discourage us to say, you know what, sisters shouldn't be studying. But they say carry on and continue. And it's always good to hear people encouraging you on something that even sometimes I step back and I say, maybe studies are not for me, but they're always saying that it's good. Just continue and see how far you can get.
Okay, great stuff. Now, another thing that I want to check from you, Sister Sharon, maybe in your case, has it ever happened where you had a friend and maybe friendship started very innocently, but later you realized that this friend had a bad influence? How did you deal with that situation? Have you ever come across a friend who had a bad influence, and how did you address that particular friend, be it at tertiary, even in a church environment?
Yes, I have. But with time, I slowly distanced myself from them because I didn't want their influence to spill over to me.
So you just started distancing yourself from them.
Yes.
Oh,
Some I
okay.
try to talk to them, but then when I see that things are not improving, I just keep my distance.
Okay. And then how do you distance? Do you block their number, avoid their calls? When they visit you, you tell them that you are not available. How did you distance yourself?
Some I blocked, some I just avoiding them, you know. So I think they kind of realized that I no longer want to be their friend, and they stopped bothering me.
Okay. Okay. And then are there times where you got to the parents involved, or there was never a time where you got to the parents involved to sort out a matter for you?
And no, so far there's no incident that I've
Oh,
had
okay.
of such.
Okay. Stamarinke, how have you dealt with a wrong friend in the past?
Okay, first things first, a wrong friend, you can just see them when they're approaching based on the questions they ask. So the easiest way I'd say is, of course, avoiding is an option. But sometimes you just talk to them and see how they actually react to the way you answer them. Because some of them, not that they're bad, it's just that they come from a different perspective. But then once they speak to you can hear that some of them do actually respect you. And even I was telling I think to somebody that when we are sitting together, they filter out the content they speak around you. Because even when you approach, you can tell that this topic just changed because I approached. But then the other veterans, this avoidance really is the best option.
Mm, okay. Sister Michelle, in your case, how did you deal with a bad friend in the past?
I think that, as everyone just alluded to, the fact avoiding is the best. Yes, you try to make them see from your point of view as well, because I feel also they feel their point of view is fine and is right, it's the okay way. But then you try to project your way to say, this is how it is, and this, but if you see that you're not winning in this instance, because as Sharon has said, their bad influence might just fall over to you. So then, just as you're talking alone, I won't respond. If you're texting me, I won't respond. That's just how I'll do it. I will just avoid you because I'm not going to allow your negativity to influence my life. So I'm not going to do that. I will just avoid you. That's just how I deal with bad friends.
Okay. Okay. Now, this is getting very, very interesting. Now, Sister Sharon, in a church, in environment, the Bible speaks about three kinds of believers. How can a young people or a young person deal with three kinds of believers, in this case a make believer and an unbeliever, in a church environment? How do you get to a point where you see somebody that claims to be something but you find that they are not? Have you ever come across that, and how did that affect you as a young person?
Yes, I have come across it whereby people proclaim, to be believers, but their life contrasts what they always talk about. So in such a case, I avoid befriending such. I can just talk to them, but we don't say anything deep, and I try to avoid them. And yeah, yeah, you
Okay.
can tell from the things they talk about, the life they live outside church is, what really proves who they are.
Mm, 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 mm. Okay. So the avoidance strategy is the best strategy.
For me, yes.
Oh, okay. 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 But is there a need sometimes to confront somebody that claims to be something and they are not, and says this, but you claim to be this? Why is there a disconnect between who you are on Sunday and who you are on Monday?
Yeah, there is a need, but it's not always easy to confront them.
Okay. 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 Now, maybe let me jump to Sister Marinki. In such case, I think what it speaks to, it speaks to rejection. How must a young person handle rejection? And on this one, I speak broadly, because the nature of life is that at some point in time you're gonna be rejected, either by your friends. You're gonna come somewhere where you apply for a job, and the answer is going to be no. How can a young person deal with the rejection? Because what Sharon speaks about is that sometimes you may confront, but there is a fear of rejection. Am I hearing you correctly, Sister Sharon?
Yeah.
Is there a fear of rejection?
Yes, you fear how they're gonna react. You feel like they might overreact.
Okay.
And might start spreading wrong rumors about you, or just do something that will hurt you.
Okay. Okay. And then, does it really matter what people think about you vis-a-vis what you think of yourself?
It shouldn't matter, but here and there you do feel pain, if you hear wrong things spreading about you, especially if they're not true.
Okay. Okay. Sister Marinki, how do you deal with rejection, especially when it is followed up by negativity?
Normally, at first, it's quite painful, but then when you think about how it's gonna pass over at some point, um, it's just not. It really is not easy, as Sister Sharon says, to just pinpoint somebody that's doing wrong and just approach them because you're just worried about, okay, first things first, what I saw, it could have been a fact or it could have been a lie. And when you approach this person, sometimes you might even reject it, although you saw it with your own two eyes. The question just arises, do I go further and who do I even approach? Because sometimes you're like, okay, I should just keep it for myself because when you start telling somebody else, it now, it's going to become a rumor that you'll be spreading. So sometimes we just keep it to ourselves and you just hope and pray. But in terms of an unbeliever, you start to see that even in church, it's either from you finding out the distance themselves, next thing they're no longer in church. You'd wonder, was it taken care of somebody else or did they really be scared of the fact that you know? I just believe things because rejection is something that you really do hear sometimes.
Sister Michelle, how do you deal with people that claim to be something that they are not?
I think that one is a huge challenge. It's very discouraging. I wouldn't lie. I think speaking just in a broader sense, like as young people, when you look up to your elders and this person turns out to be something that, when we watch your lives, I'd use you as an example, Pastor, just we watch your life in church and, we so look up to you and when you drop that ball, it's not easy. It's very difficult. And even to approach you as the pastor of the church, I don't know. I feel at times we don't even know the right channels to use in terms of how do you get over that. And I feel that thing at some point, it does hurt the young people. It does cause, an imbalance in our lives because yes, we shouldn't place our focus on you as the pastor. Like we shouldn't be like, like he's my standard. If he drops, we're all gonna drop. No, our focus should be on Christ. Our everything should be on him. But yes, you are there as an example for us. Then when you drop that ball, it's so difficult for us as young people to overcome that. We start in our own corners doing small things. They don't see me because they don't see this. When I go to church Sunday, I'm that holy child. I do this, I do everything that we should be doing. But outside of something different, sometimes those things, we just look at them in the sense that, young people, sometimes they're disrespectful. Young people sometimes go off the road and all day. But sometimes there's a root cause to this thing that, it's very difficult. How do you confront this situation? How do I go to the pastor and say, Pastor, sister such and such, I witnessed such. It's very difficult. I think in that regard, that's why I always feel that the church should always honestly encourage openness and transparency, allow a platform for young people to come and say, this is a challenge that I've witnessed. This is what I'm going through. This is, what I've seen, so that they're able to help. But then now, as a young person, I come to you as a pastor and I say, Pastor, I've seen such a young person or such a person do such and such and such. And at the end of the day, the story comes back. Now everyone knows that you are the gospel of the church. You want to tell the pastor this, and you feel rejected and all alone in your space to say, okay, next time I'm going to witness something, I'm not going to say anything. Because the first time I came, I said, and now everyone was just looking at me with the eyes that, you did this and you went ahead. This one tells the pastor everything. It's a difficult thing because I think a lot of people, young people, battle with that. What do I do when I find out I'm such a person? Did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Which route do I follow? So I think think from my side, I would just encourage openness and transparency. Allow us to be honest. Allow us to be real, and in the same vein, also to be accountable as young people. Yes, we go off the route, but still we should be accountable for what we do. So I think just open and encouraging transparency would it would encourage so many people to be open and be able to know which channels to take when I've witnessed something. Yeah.
Okay, great stuff. Sister Sharon, do you feel that young people have got the platforms to express themselves in the message, or we just bash young people and say, you guys are we what, but there's never a platform and the support system for young people? Is the support system sufficient?
No, it's not. It's not, because I normally hear a lot of young people complaining that elders are too hard on them, such that it makes it very difficult for them to approach them when they're going through challenges, and they keep things to themselves and they keep drowning in their sins. And sometimes those bad habits, end up spreading to other young people. It starts with one person, and then if they don't get help, next thing 5 others are doing the same thing, and it reaches a stage where it's difficult to control it. Just because the first person was not able to get help.
And what are the appropriate platforms, or what is the appropriate support system that as elders we can provide to you young people that you feel supported and feel heard?
I think the approach they have towards young people, being a bit understanding and compassionate, and just guide them in a more loving way. Not just being too hard on them at all times. Yeah, it can help them become more open. Yes.
Okay. Sister Marinki, do you feel that the elders are living in another world and young people are in another world? How do we bridge those worlds if they do exist?
Yes, there are some elders. You just look at them with like, okay, this one I will never ever even approach. But there are some where you like, even if I wanted to approach, how do I step, like go towards them? Because of course, the social media platforms, with WhatsApp and whatever. But even in these platforms, your name is right there if you were to report something. And then you know that next time, even people who are your friends, they're just gonna run away saying that, yes, you are a snake or something. So if there would be some kind of a anonymous place where you just write in if there's a complaint or something, that truly would be helpful to the young people.
Okay. Sister Michelle, do you feel the young people have got a lot that they've bottled up?
Yes, I honestly do think so. I do think that young people go through so much. Young people go through so much, like even the challenges that they're going through, on campus, be it high school, even in the workplace. I for myself, I'll speak for myself. In the workplace, you get there and you expect, because there's elderly people there, you just assume and think that these people will behave in a certain. As a young person, you're caught up in that space, you are so uncomfortable and all that. So I feel like, if I know there are, elders and those people that I can reach out to say, because those things they do, take some strain on you as a young person. You walk into a different world. It's like when you get home, you are in this world where you are very comfortable. This is me. And then you go to your workplace, you are like in a total different place where there's just so many things. And when you come back, all that, that you've just witnessed and been around, it's something you have to now let off and, know that, okay, this is me. This is how I should do it. So I feel like sometimes young people, they do have so many things they are struggling with. But if we can allow, youth services and all those things where they can open up, I think that will assist, because I feel like they do go through so much. Young people in school, I think they have challenges with their peers, peer pressure. There's all that in varsity. There's challenges everywhere. So I feel like at some point they do bottle up because they have a lot that they can't let out. Maybe they don't have enough support. They don't know which approach to take to come to the elders. But I do feel to some extent that young people do bottle up a lot, and it's
Okay. Sister Sharon, how do we, and I guess I'm speaking to you as sisters, and many times you've got the pastor, you've got the deacons. How can the elders' wives assist in your space? Because I would imagine that certain challenges that you come across, you may want to speak to as a sister to a sister. Do you find elderly sisters approachable in the message, that as a young person you can be able? Remember, some of the young people, they come into the message later in life, and God forbid, in some instances you find that they were abused as children, and for them just to come into the pastor's office and speak to a maid, it is triggering, if I use your word today. How can we bridge a gap, especially for those that have been troubled? Are the sisters, elderly sisters in the message, because the scripture says elderly sisters should teach young sisters, are they approachable? And if they are approachable, do you think that they are providing sound teachings to you without being judgmental? Sister Sharon?
Yeah, many of them are approachable, and they tend to give us, good advice about how to behave as a young woman, how to prepare for marriage, and things like that. But personally, I normally find it difficult to talk to them about challenges I'm facing, because I'm afraid that they might spread it to others.
Mm, mm. So do you feel, and I think you are raising something very critical, and I'm going to take it through to Sister Michelle and Sister Marinki. Do you think there is a respect for confidentiality in the message, that I can speak to you about a matter and believe that the matter is confidential? Do we respect confidentiality?
Personally, I don't think it's enough.
Okay, sister.
There's little respect.
Okay, I'm going to move Sister Maringi. Sister Maringi, do you feel that there is respect for confidentiality in the message?
Okay, on my side, yes, but then you hear other sisters starting to talk about other matters. So sometimes you run away from them, but you can tell that not really. Like, things be spread around, saying this person did this, and you wonder, why isn't this being handled by the elders? Why are young sisters now talking about such, I'd say, such a difficult matter that shouldn't be just lurking around? It should stay only at one place, handled, and then maybe if results do come back to us saying that this matter was handled in this way and it was solved, that encourages those who are also doing something wrong to say that it was handled properly and this is how it was solved. Because sometimes you don't even hear feedback on what you heard. The last thing you heard was it was wrong, and then that was it.
Okay. So, Michelle, is there respect for confidentiality?
to some extent, yes, but I still feel like a lot more can be done about it. I still feel that we still, as young people, or still fear, to come. I think until we get to a point where we feel comfortable, me coming to you as the pastor or any other sister, I should be comfortable to know that when I go to that sister, this is the matter I'm going through, without fear of knowing that tomorrow I might walk into church and everyone might just look at me in a different way because they've already heard whatever I've done that was wrong that I shared with a particular sister. So sometimes I feel like, the respect for confidentiality is a bit compromised.
Okay. All right, good stuff. And then tell me something, Sister Sharon. Let's come to the issue of marriage in general. It is something that a lot of sisters are thinking about. Do you think that a lot of times you young people are properly equipped for marriage?
No, I believe we're not. He tends to focus more on like the spiritual aspects, pray for your future husband, learn how to do chores, be hardworking, things like that. But other issues are not touched from my experience.
Why are they not being touched?
Or maybe they wait for you to be in courtship. I don't know.
Okay.
I think generally some topics, they fear to touch certain topics, things to do with like reproduction, going deep into that.
Okay. I get it. Now, sister.
Yeah. Or I don't know, maybe they leave it for when you're already in courtship.
Okay. All right. And then Sister Marinki. Hello. Can you?
No, they don't talk much.
Okay. And Sister Michelle?
And they just say your name.
Come again. You're not audible.
No. No, I don't think that aspect is, well given to young people. We're not in marriage. Is just, it's when you gotta get married and then it's discussed. But other than that, I don't think a lot has been done to prepare young sisters. I don't want to speak for the brothers, but sisters, I don't feel a lot has been done to prepare young sisters for marriage. So I don't think in that regard we are well equipped and ready for marriage.
Okay.
Young people, young sisters, actually.
Okay. And then another thing, we will wrap up now. What I want to find out from you, the three of you, what are the three things that you have identified that you think those three things are the ones that are responsible for making young people to live the message of the hour? Sister Sharon.
One of them is the approach that elders have to young people.
Okay.
In such a way that people end up being afraid to open up. Then they end up leaving.
Okay.
Because probably when they are wrong, the way issues are handled sometimes is hurtful, or maybe people just don't feel comfortable to come and get help.
Okay. And then, Sister Marinki, in your space, what are the three things that you have identified that often cause young people to leave the message?
I'm not very hypocrite, number one. Things are not what they say they are. Because you notice that this person says one thing and then they do another. Even their lives, looking at either the family or the children, even the way you talk to the kids and you hear the way they would respond to, like, obviously this person is not either taught from school or from home. But for me, the topic is a big issue.
Okay. And then, Sister Michelle, in your space, what are the three things that make young people to leave the message?
I think from my side, I would also say, a dual life, a life in church where we live such a life, and then outside we are different people. You go to church with your family, and in church your mom or dad is, that godly being, and then at home it's just a total different person. I think that has also troubled a whole lot of people and caused young people to leave, because we all know when we're in church we have to be these formal people now. We are very godly, but when we get home we preach a different story. I think that has affected a whole lot of young people. And also, I think another thing that I would raise is that, young people, we come to church and there are no activities for young people. We come to church, there's no youth service, there's just nothing. It's just church. We just come, go home. I think that also, creates that, some sort of, I don't know, there's boredom or something. Then, young people just feel there's nothing in church for me. I just go there Sunday. And after that, I think those also create, that issue, and young people just don't see the need of being in that space anymore.
Okay. Great stuff. And then, Sister Sharon, your parting shot, your advice to young people in the message?
Read the words, don't base your faith on anyone, because people will disappoint you, and have the Holy Ghost so that you can overcome all challenges that come throughout different stages of life. And pray every day, because you're fighting spirits every day and you need power to overcome. And live an exemplary life so that you don't bring reproach to the world. And if you make a mistake, do not be afraid to repent.
Okay.
Confess your sins to God and start afresh.
Great stuff. Sister Marinke, on your side, what is your advice to the young people based on your experience?
I'd also say read and listen. Listen to the pastors, listen to the elders. There's this other time I remember a pastor came to preach and they said, some of the things that you look at and even watching, if you just distance yourself. I remember there was a challenge. They said 3 months, stay away from, I don't know if it's television, your movies, and see how your life changes. Going back to that story of that little boy and the mirror, you'll start to see that the more I read and the more I listen, there's somebody that I haven't met before. And once you actually continue reading, you start to notice that, there's a mirror in front of me and there's somebody else who can influence my life. And I'm speaking of God himself, rather than you listening to other people. Just speak to the truth, and that the truth is the word. And stay away from all these other influences.
Great stuff. And Sister Michelle, your advice to young people?
I think what I would just say to young people is, when we get to a point as young people to understand that we are oddballs, we're never going to fit into the world. We're never going to fit in. So I think until we get to a point where we understand that this is who we are, this is what we were called for, it's very difficult to give out something that you don't have. So read the word, pray every day. Ensure that you have that circle of friends, those godly sisters that you can reach out to whenever you're going through difficulties and challenges, just so you know that there's that brother. When I'm down, I know I can go to Sister Marinki, for instance, to say, Sister, help me pray about this matter. Ensure that circle that you have, that you call friends, it's people that are there to uplift you, people that are there to encourage you to be the better you, instead of having people that will lead you astray. So I think my parting shot to the young people will just be, Just remember that you are oddball. You're never going to fit into the world. Hold to God's hand and everything will go accordingly. But pray. You're not only going to say that prayer works. Also, it does work, but also you as an individual, you have to ensure that you do your part as well. We can't expect God just to come on the scene every time when you just relax, pray, read your word, and do your part, and God will do the rest.
Okay.
That's my parting shot.
Great stuff. And then in a parting shot, Sister Sharon, where do you see yourself career-wise?
Career-wise, I see myself as an agribusiness consultant in the next 5 years or so, because I'm currently working in the agriculture sector, so I'm very passionate about that. With agribusiness consultant with a master's degree, pursuing a PhD.
Okay. So in the few years, I'll be addressing you as Dr. Sharon Kumamuthi. Okay, great stuff. Sister Marinki, where do you see yourself, the pinnacle of your career?
As a tech student, the things that you should watch out for, I've noticed that tech, not all of it may contribute to the wrong things, but I see myself doing something different with it.
Okay, so you were going to...
that can help the message and
or you see yourself moving out of tech and using your IT background for something that can help the message?
Yeah.
Okay, here is my challenge to you. I think that one I need to follow up on it. We've got a tablet software. I think you know about it, that we've got it on our phones. The message software, Stamarinki?
Yes.
It was designed in the United States and it was brought to Africa. So I'm looking forward to see something similar being designed by African youth so that we can share it with the world. And it must be a message product.
Challenge accepted.
Okay. Sister Michelle, career-wise, where do you see yourself, the pinnacle of your career?
I think in the next 5 years, as said by Sister Sharon, I also like to pursue my PhD, master's, and all that. But then I do see myself as an acquisition specialist in the next few years. So yes, that's where I'm heading to.
Okay, I think in the next few years, I'll be speaking to Dr. Michelle Mukwena and Dr. Sharon Kumamuthi, and I'll be speaking to somebody that designed something on the same level as the table software, and then it will be exported to America and the rest of the world. So, sisters, it has been great even speaking to you. Thank you for your time. We had technical glitches, but we finally pulled it off. We have learned, we have listened. The purpose was that we wanted to give you the agency to understand where you are coming from. But one thing that I need to say to you, you are making us proud by being message believers. And we'll continue to pray for you. We'll continue to guide you, to advise you. And wherever you think that there is a disconnect in how we approach you and how we guide you, don't hesitate to raise your hand and say, but the best way, maybe it is this way, because through that, it can help many more young people. But you've been message believers at a young age. You have been on campus as message believers. You are now in the workplaces as message believers. I really take off my hat to you, especially as young sisters in this dark and vile world, to see sisters taking a stance for this message. I know it is not easy, but I want to salute you for your stance, and may God continue to preserve you. And we think highly of you, and we are praying for you, and we are looking forward to that. Your experiences will touch many young people, and maybe there is a young person somewhere that somewhat became inspired to see young girls that are educated but still message believers. So I appreciate you for making your time to come speak to us. I know it was a nerve-wracking exercise, but you pull it off, and I say I appreciate you. God bless you, and then you are appreciated. Let me just speak to our audience. Yeah, these were young people. Yes, we've had technical glitches, but we'll refine it as we go along. The main purpose was just to tap into their experience, get to hear them, what do they go through, their challenges. And as we hear them, I think it will refine our approach in terms of what support system can we provide for them, what guidance can we provide for them. Yes, the way it is there, but over and above that, how do we get to speak to them sister to sister, one-on-one? What are you going through? How can I help you? How can I become your prayer partner? These are the things that are needed, especially in the end time. These young people, while other young people are living the message, while other young people are taking the message, these young people have decided to remain in the message and to take sides with Jesus. And I think we all just need to take our head off to them, salute them for their stance. It's not easy on campus. It's not easy to overcome peer pressure. It's not easy. Some of the young people, they come from families where there are no believers, but for them to be able to take this banner of the message of the hour and still identify with this banner, I think we really need to salute them. But over and above saluting them, I think we need to pray for them. We need to guide them. We need to advise them. I believe that a young person preserved in the message, we have preserved a community in the future. Let's keep on praying for them. Thank you for joining us.